Oh, there's treasure chests that I saw from that angle. Alright. Gladius?
Yeah, well, okay, but what do you mean if there is one? First of all, how dare you? Second of all, what do you want to know? I have pretty much all of the answers probably memorized.
Remember, I have a living TOS wiki.
I've written at least three different like full length essays on this game. So if it's about lifeless beings or anything about Mythos, I've got you covered. Oh, the synopsis? Oh man, okay. It's gonna be really hard for me to do it too long. Didn't okay. Let me just try to okay. Here we go. 4,000 years ago, there was war. As we know, war equals bad. So this one guy was like, I'm gonna stop the war. But then his sister got murdered because everyone hates half elves because racism. And he and his sister are half elves. So she got murdered. And then he was like, okay, I'm 14 and emotionally incapable of dealing with this. So I'm gonna just. What if the solution to racism and war is just not addressing any of the problems at all?
Oh, hey, Lloyd just
And
said the truest thing ever.
relatable. Same Lloyd. And so this 14-year-old kid is like, okay, so I'm going to use my magic elf powers and I'm just going to split the world in half so that way the two warring factions won't have war anymore because they'll be on separate planets. And then I'm going to solve racism by just creating these weird plot stones that can make it so that no one has any souls, and then everyone will be the same, so racism will be gone forever. And both of his caretakers and remaining party members were like, yeah, seems legit. I don't see anything wrong with this. Let's support him. 4,000 years pass, and he's built like basically an empire dedicated to harvesting more of these plot stones, to like he's created an entire religion that he uses to like control marriages and lineages to like produce like so to basically like arrange marriages to produce someone who will like be enough like his sister that they will produce a body that could like house her soul or her spirit to resurrect her. Yeah, I know, very reasonable. Um, and then also to um, basically to like split the like mana and magic energy of the world between the two worlds, so that like not no world ever like gets too advanced because technological advancements is what really causes the atrocities of war. Hashtag super deep.
Sup, Dad?
Oh look, hey, well, spoilers, spoilers. Anyway, so he's like, this is a really great plan. This is what we're gonna do. And then basically you start out the game like basically, and you're like, oh, we're gonna like do this ritual to regenerate the world, which is actually his BS made up thing that is just part of his contrived plot to produce a vessel for his sister and like reverse the situation of the world so that no one of them gets too powerful or whatever. And then you're like, oh hey, looks like everything's actually fucked up. And then you're like, oh, looks like Disco Angel Zombie is actually the bad guy. And then the actual plot of the game starts. That's about as condensed as I could possibly make it. I did my best.
No Mythos worship in this village.
Oh, also, elves are like super racist. Like everyone in this game is racist, but elves are like super racist. Oh, also, this isn't related to like the overall general synopsis, but they're just like dads are a very prominent subplot in this game. Like everyone has like some sort of tragic dad backstory, probably. Well, okay, this Tales game is the best just because it has the best villain. Because, so, okay, time for me to go on a verbal essay. I hope you're prepared.
Okay, that saves me words.
Okay, this is why Tales of Symphonia is the best video game ever. So, the game does a really good job of actually not like making its villains sympathetic in the fact that at the end of the game you're like, oh, that was totally reasonable and I understand why he did what he did and he did nothing wrong. Like, no, he did everything wrong. But it draws a lot of parallels to between Mythos and Lloyd and between Mythos and Genus in a way that like humanize him and like makes his motivations make sense and makes his character arc make sense, and so that basically you can kind of like see where he's coming from, and it basically makes him a lot more of a tragic and compelling character rather than just like I mean, he's totally your RPG villain with a god complex, but he's also just done so much better than your average RPG villain with a god complex. Because, so basically, like, he was, you know, Mr. Idealistic Hero guy 4,000 years ago. And, like, basically, he was then what Lloyd is now, which is, like, your dopey, like, protag coon who's like, I'm just gonna save everyone and I want everyone to be happy. Except, like, Lloyd won the genetics lottery, so he didn't have a sister get murdered because of racism. So that helped a lot. But anyway, so like so like you're able to see Mythos as a character through the lens of how you see Lloyd as a character, but also like Genus Genus is also half elf, and he also has an older sister, Rain, who he's like super close to, and who basically raised him because their parents, long story, tragic backstory. And so basically, like, Genus is, like, 12, and so, like, you see how, like, he's way more vulnerable to everyone being, like, racist douchebags than Rain is, because, like, she's kind of just weathered and more used to it, but, like, Genus, because he's young, is, like, very clearly impacted by all of it, and he makes a lot of, comments at the game about how you're just like, you know what, humans are the freaking worst, I hate all of them, except you, Lloyd, you're okay, but, like, everyone else sucks. And, like, he so there are a lot of scenes that just show you how much more vulnerable he is to that kind of thing. And so since Mythos was basically Genus's age when his sister died, like, it's really easy to see how, like, if Genus didn't have, like, you know, the support system of all of the protags, like, he would have very easily made the same decisions that Mythos did, because literally Mythos's entire hecked up schemes are a very, very juvenile quote-unquote solution to very complicated problems, and the only reason that he was able to implement them was because his, like, two, like, mentor figures, well, his three mentor figures, one of them died, and then the other two were like, well, we don't know what to do, so we're just gonna keep doing what Mythos says, because I'm sure that's fine. And then 4,000 years later, they're like, oh, I guess that wasn't fine, and a bunch of people died. Hashtag whoops. Yeah, thanks, Kratos. And then after that, so after everything's already gone to crap, and they're like, oh, maybe that was a bad idea, then they both just, like, straight up just turn sides, and they're like, oh, yeah, well, actually, you're a bad guy, and we're being good guys now. But it's like, okay, Yuan and Kratos, I'm sorry, you two are just as guilty for everything that's happened. Anyway, I went on a bit of a tangent, but...
Oh, no, that was pretty much perfect for that boring shopping and sleeping trip I just did.
Oh, cool, perfect. Ready to continue on to... Oh, did you name the dogs? You should name the dogs.
Oh, dogs.
But anyway, the reason this game is my favorite is because of the way it really effectively draws parallels between the villain and the main character so that you can understand why he makes the choices he does. And also, another thing it does that's really cool, I'll try to make this one shorter because Six is trying to actually, like, stream a game here,
Coco.
is that it does a really good job of, like, making points about how history is formed and how stories and mythology comes to be created, because because the story about everything that happened started 4,000 years ago, and there are so many legends about Mythos the hero. And what's interesting is that a lot of the legends are fabricated by Mythos himself to like further his hecked up agenda, but also like some of them are like you can see how there is truth in them, but then they got warped over time. And so I think that's one of the coolest things about this game is how like at the very beginning, there's like a prologue that's like, once upon a time, there was a giant tree that was the source of blah blah blah, like all this. And what's interesting is how basically that legend, like the game shows you how that legend came to be created and how it is sort of based in truth, but how it's like been very much stretched and changed over time. Part of it has been actively manipulated by Mythos, and part of it has just been like warped by public memory. Like, of course, public memory completely forgot that Mythos the hero is a half elf because public memory hates half elves. So yeah, it's like so that's one of the other things that makes this game my favorite is just how well it treats legends. I've definitely written an essay on that. Anyway,
Anyway,
so this game is really good.
I believe I just
Sorry.
found one of the most hidden dogs in the game.
Yeah. Did you get a title for Colette? Because I feel like we should have named them all by now.
We need to go back to Azalea at least, I think.
We were just there last week.
I don't think I went there with Colette yet. Did I?
Yeah, we were literally just there your last stream.
Featuring Colette, I mean. May have...
I thought, well, anyway, well, I'm sure we've named at least most of the dogs. We're probably missing one, like, here or there. Cat, believe me, I would love to, but also I really don't know if the world is ready for just, an open panel on, like, me and my thoughts on Tales of Symphonia. Because I will, like, one person will ask a question, and then I'll go off for half an hour and completely fail to listen to, like, anyone else's questions. So that might not be a good idea.
You probably got some relevant VGF topics. I could just clip this and post it in there.
It'll probably just be redundant because I've probably posted the same essays on VGF in text format.
Worry a lot about Kratos.